Welcome to BizTech's Midday Market Watch. Our guest today is Gabriel Yap, Executive Chairman of GCP Global. Gabriel, thanks for coming in this Friday.
Well, another month is coming to an end, Brian, and very soon the year. So it's great to have you always.
Yeah. Now, before we get your insights, I'm going to take a look at crypto markets and then regional markets. So we've had a pullback on Bitcoin. It's been pulling back ever so slowly over the last couple of days. After breaching the 50,000 mark, it is now at 46,916, down 2%. Ethereum is at 3,101.28. It is down 1.8%. Now, across regional markets, we'll start with Bursa Malaysia. It's up 0.3% at 1,590.53. The SGX is down 0.81% at 3,084. Now, looking at other markets across the region, we've got the Nikkei, which is at 27,605.78. It's down 0.49%. The Shanghai Composite is up by the same number, 0.49% at 3,518.83. The Hang Seng is at 25,546.37. It's up 0.51%. The ASX 200 is at 7,486.1. It's down 0.07%. Rounding up the numbers, we've got a Kospi, which is down 0.06% at 3,126.61. Gabriel, what's your view on the markets? Very mixed today.
Yeah, it's coming to the month end, and I think essentially the market's just setting itself up for Jerome Powell's speech, in Wyoming tomorrow. I think that's basically a defining point, because I think markets expecting whether any indications, any guide pertaining to when the tapering would start. I think the market consensus right now is looking at like December, with an early beginning to rope it in only in the early months of next year.
And isn't there also a little bit of nervousness about markets because of the potential for future regulatory clampdowns in China? Because markets this week have been lagging because of that. And about 20 minutes ago, we got a flash on the news outlets that China has tightened its rules around data protection and collection, with very specific rules, this time only for automakers. So would you think that that's weighing in on markets? And also the other thing is there's a weak lead out of Wall Street because of the attack in Afghanistan.
Well, I think the weekly viewers of your program, especially those on Friday, where I come on board, and would not be surprised with this latest ruling, because since last month, after the DT's case, we have been warning that actually the regulatory framework will get tighter in China. How long and how fast will be depending, will be stretched out. But with TT's case, we did identify at that time that in terms of cybersecurity and data privacy collection, that's an area where the regulatory authorities are focusing, and not surprising, they're actually looking at the automakers. But I think the impact will be quite minimal, because one, to a large extent, investors do expect this to widen out. And of course, within the EV space, if you notice, in a very short space of the last 1.5 years, you don't just have traditional EV players like NIO, Tesla into this space. You have big tech companies like Google into it, as well as you have new companies like the likes of Xiaomi entering into this space. And it's not surprising, because electric car is seen as an extension of the phone, in the next 5-10 years, where essentially the ecosystem of many of your iOS applications is done over the phone, but increasingly it's going to move on to the car.
Now, here's the thing, Gabriel, because essentially one of the big concerns when we are moving towards these electric cars and mobility in that space is the fact that they're easily hacked. And so cybersecurity, not only within cars, but from an overall framework, has taken a big step up in terms of awareness. In fact, the Biden administration has just met up with some of the top tech CEOs, and maybe you could give us some insights into some of the developments there.
Yeah, I think this year started off with uh, investors being shocked, especially if you're not well prepared, with respect to the ransomware as well as the hacks into JBL Meat as well as Colonial Pipeline. But what's even more shocking is that the hackers actually got the upper hand to such an extent that a ransom has to be paid. And it's no small measure when the ransom is in amounts of more than 50 million, notwithstanding the fact that the purchase consideration is done in Bitcoin, like in the case of Colonial Pipeline. But I think essentially it's dawned upon the Biden administration now that you need to take, ransomware, cybersecurity very seriously. It is actually incongruent with what, for example, like Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, has been warning since the beginning of last quarter, which is if you do attend our classes, investment classes, is something that we have been sharing, that cybersecurity has to reach a higher level of detail, where people have to take it seriously. And nothing really matters until something seriously hit, then you actually have a case where people are forced to be spending far more attention, far more time, and of course, far more money into this space.
So obviously, this is going to drive up the values of cybersecurity companies who provide services and solutions like CloudStrike, like Acronis, and which is based out of Singapore and so forth.
Definitely so. For example, if you look, the largest, one of the largest cybersecurity company listed in the US, that's Palo Alto. The share price has actually gone up in congruent with the results. And I also liked what Microsoft plays, because in the last 6 years, Microsoft, since the new CEO came on, has actually invested into capital expenditure. Something from 6 billion has grown up to 24.2 billion as of the last financial year. And increasingly, you notice that they are not only just spending on cybersecurity, they're actually also creating more jobs. In this case, they're looking to spend another 10 billion in the next 5 years, into this particular space. And this is actually just one Microsoft approach. So if we look at the statements of the other CEOs representing the other companies like Google, Amazon, IBM, as well as JP Morgan, it's not surprising, as well as Apple, there will be more announcements coming out from this space. So watch this very closely.
Gabriel, thank you very much as always for your great insights.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good weekend.
You too. Now, we've been speaking to Gabriel Yap, Executive Chairman of GCP Global, on BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Brian Fernandez. Please check out, subscribe, and like our various platforms, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Thanks again for tuning in.